Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to draw this bright red rose, and for this drawing I'm going to be using a variety of reds. There's going to be a red leaning more towards the orange, there's going to be a mid-tone red, a red that leans more towards the violet, a brown, and even a pink. So before we get started, I would also like to share some thoughts on how I pick the colors when drawing any subject. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do is to draw a color swatch like this. So what I've done here is I've swatched out all of the color pencils that I have. I've put the blues together, I've put the reds together. And so what this does is it helps me compare all the different, for example, in this case, it helps me compare all the reds that I have. So when put next to each other, I can tell which ones, how they look in comparison to each other. And that really helps me pick the right color for any drawing. So this might feel time taking, but this is an exercise that I really encourage you to do, and once done, this is going to be helpful for all your subsequent drawings. So the next topic I want to discuss here is which colors to use for the shadow areas. Now this is something that I really struggled with when I began working with colored pencils. There are a number of darker colors that you have, which is blacks and dark browns, dark grays, but one never really knows which ones will go with a particular drawing. So in this drawing, like I said earlier, I'm going to be using a red which leans towards the orange for the lighter areas, a more mid-tone red, a darker red for the darker areas, and I'm going to be using a color which is red violet for the shadow areas. Now if you do not have this color with you, it's easy to mix it. You can take the darkest red that you have and layer that with a purple violet, and yeah, you'll get this color and you can use it for the shadow areas. Now for the darkest parts of this drawing, which is between the petals and where no light is reaching and it really looks just black, I will not be using a black pencil. Now a lot of beginners make this mistake. They tend to see the dark shadow areas as simple black. Instead, what I would suggest is for you to try with other darker colors. So for example, dark sepia is a favorite color of mine which I like to use for these dark shadow areas. I always feel that blacks really flatten out a drawing, so instead of black I like to use the darkest grey that I have, or preferably a dark sepia pencil. Okay, so now coming to the drawing, I'm going to show you the process that I follow for one petal, and for the rest I'm going to skip ahead and also just speed up the video. Now I'm laying down the mid-tone red first because that will act as a bottom layer on which all the subsequent layers will come. So I'm going to cover even those part of the petal which is in the shadow or which has a lighter orange red color. So I'm going to use this mid-tone red for the entire petal. Now if you notice, I'm working here in small circles. I want a smooth finish to the petal. I want that softness to be there, and for that I don't want any visible lines, so it's important that you keep in mind to work in small circles. Of course, as you keep working with colored pencils, you'll gain more experience and you'll also learn to modulate the pressure that you use. So you'll know when you have to press down hard, and you'll know when to work really lightly with your pencil, and that's very important in getting that smooth finish to the layers that you put down. I will now use the dark red to give an idea of the form of the petal. Now the petal is curving away from us, so I'm going to be using the dark red at the corners to show that the edge of the petal is curving away from us. So I'm now using the light red that I have, and I'm going to go over the center area of the petal where the light is falling, and it is and the petal is lit up. It's lovely and bright and really vibrant, and here I'm using a little more pressure because I want to get rid of that white tooth of the paper which is shining through, but I also do not want to put a lot of pressure because this is not the burnishing stage. Now, one of the most important things that you learn with experience is to see an object, see your subject that you are drawing, and really be able to notice all the different color variations that you can see. So, for example, I'm adding a little bit of a pink here in this area because I can see that there's, because of the light falling on it, there's a little color variation, and I think that pink is really just going to bring out the rest of the color. So we will now begin working on the darker areas, and here I'm using the red violet and going over all of the areas on the petal which I see have a darker tone. So this includes the darkest shadow areas which look like black, and I'm going to use that and the dark red in conjunction and really just sort of give a little more form to the petal, show that it is curving towards the center and then away from us. So I'm going to now begin working on the darkest shadow areas, and I'm going to be using sepia for this. It's important that you keep looking back at your reference photo at this point and really just gauge where the darkest shadows fall so that you do not go overboard with this dark sepia. So we're almost at the end of the drawing, and I'm going to wrap it up by finishing this center part of the flower. Now, a lot of artists like to begin their drawing by using their shadow color, which in this case would be the dark sepia, to give a form to the subject and then add the rest of the colors. Now, there's no right or wrong about the process, and every artist has a different process they like to follow. I personally like to begin with the midtone so that I know how dark my shadows need to be. To wrap up this drawing, I'm just going to add a few more tweaks in the shadows and the highlights using the ivory pencil, and our drawing is done. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching. Bye.